Hey y'all, happy Monday. I am super excited to see you today. It is day, I don't even know anymore of quarantine, but I wanted to tell you a story about my friend. So my friend, she got a dog for the quarantine because she was lonely, she's an extrovert, she needs something to do. But she can't take her dogs for walks anymore because it keeps getting attacked by ducks. So, it's on her. She shouldn't have bought a purebred. So today we're going to be talking about constraints, and constraints are, when you have a word problem, constraints are what does and doesn't make sense in relevance to the word problem. So for example, if I'm talking about profits, right? My constraints would be that the lowest the profits can go is 0, because if you have negative profits, you're not making a profit. So constraints are where a problem does and does not make sense graphically. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So this is page 4 of your FSA packet. So this makes a lot more sense to talk about on a video on my computer than it does writing it all out. So sometimes there are constraints when an equation works for a real-world situation. When this happens, we have to be able to determine what the appropriate domain is for that function. And remember, domain is your x values. So the equation C of S equals 10S is given for the cost of a total number of shirts. Can we calculate the cost of a negative number of shirts? No, of course not, because if it's a negative number of shirts, that doesn't exist. You can't have negative shirts. Number 2, can we calculate the cost of 0 shirts? Of course, if there's no shirts, there's no shirts. We plug in 0. And number 3, can we calculate the cost of a positive number of shirts? Yes, we can. If we made 50 shirts, we could calculate the cost of 50 shirts. Therefore, we can say that the equation represents the situation only when x is greater than or equal to 0. Sometimes a solution to a problem does not make sense and can be eliminated. The height of a baseball after being hit by a batter is given by h of t equals negative 16t squared plus 60t plus 4, where h of t is the height and t is the time after hitting the ball. You are asked to find the time it takes the ball to hit the ground. After substituting 0 for the height and solving using the quadratic formula, you determine that the time is approximately negative 0.07 and 3.82 seconds. Do both of those answers make sense? No. Why? Because you cannot have a negative number of seconds. So what is the final solution to the problem is just 3.82 seconds. So I wrote you a couple notes about constraints just to sum up what we learned in our first video. Constraints are x values that do or don't make sense in the context of a word problem, and x values are the domain of the word problem. So you can go ahead and finish the other questions on this page of your FSA review, and you can post your favorite of the questions in the Flipgrid, and you're all set.